All right, we're live. Welcome everyone to the Editor Extensions group meeting. Today is January 11th. The first announcement today is to welcome Laura to the team. Laura is joining as a senior backend engineer, and she will work primarily on the JetBrains plugin. And yeah, Laura, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Just introduce yourself to the team. You know, where are you? Where did you work before this? Why did you join? What do you like to do outside of work? This kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura. I just joined GitLab, as Francois said, as an engineer for this team. And before I was working in AWS for almost 3 years. And before that, I was working in Microsoft. And before that, I was finishing my studies. I'm originally from Romania. And I've been living in the Netherlands for the past 2-3 years. And before that in Denmark. So I like traveling. I like moving around, meeting new people. And as my hobbies, my primary obsession slash hobby is rock climbing. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And that's my main thing, let's say, outside the work in my private life. And I'm very excited to work in this team. I think the product is the best product you can work at the moment in the tech industry. And I'm extremely excited about that. So I'm hoping to start as soon as possible to be productive in the team and for this product, because again, the product, I find it absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's about me. If anyone has any questions, please ask me. Otherwise, I will set up coffee chats with everyone anyways. Yeah, that's it about me.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, definitely highly encourage everyone to have coffee chats with Laura. Welcome. Super happy to have you here on board as well. Looking forward for you to contribute also, but also, you know, yeah, the onboarding to GitLab is pretty rough and takes a long time. So do make sure to get over that, or like, you know, to complete that. But yeah, cool. Awesome. Happy to have you here. Yeah. All right. So moving on to I have a couple of other announcements in here. Just FYI, so for transparency and efficiency, Dasha and I, so we have one-on-ones every week, Dasha and I. Dasha is our product manager. And our notes for that meeting are publicly available now. So you can just, if you're interested in this sort of stuff, you can check it out. I'm mainly thinking because, you know, the team is growing, so eventually it'll get harder as well to just always be sort of having to go through us directly. So I think it's just better if the conversations we're having, which is mostly around planning, you know, this kind of stuff, priorities, are directly available for everyone on the team. We'll just make sure to not write down, I guess, the extremely confidential stuff that we discuss all of the time. Cool. Next one here. Yeah, just wanted to share some. This is a screenshot actually. Tim sent me this screenshot because it's from a document that I don't actually have access to. It's like an exec, you know, meeting document. So just some praise from Sid and from David. Laura, so Sid is the CEO and David is the CPO of the company. So who, you know, what you can see there, well done on the code suggestion GA, massive efforts, mitigated significant risk. The launch had no outage. Everyone's happy, excellent results. So yeah, again, great work, everyone. You know, everyone in this team has been involved in code suggestions, bringing it to GA. So just wanted to relay this as well. And the next point is related to this as well. So we all know that the you know, getting code suggestions to GA was very tough, especially, you know, towards the end and on VS Code. Like there was it was basically a difficult crunch. So we want to share that Tim, who is our director of engineering, will be hosting a session next week on Thursday, actually right about now, but next week. With with the engineering teams that worked on code suggestions, essentially. So it's kind of like an AMA slash retro slash sharing more on the background of, you know, everything that led up to GA last year. So hopefully that's the way to also to get, you know, get people on the team to connect directly as well with leadership there. And as a reminder, there is a confidential retro issue that you can contribute to. There are already some great comments in there from several engineers. So I encourage everyone to transparently share there because it'll help give visibility, you know, to leadership about the challenges and the experience of that whole thing from the team's perspective. So that's really important. And And yeah, and like I said, yeah, this was a really difficult time. So if there's things that you want to share but you don't feel comfortable with, you can also, let me know, and I'm happy to comment on your behalf as well. If that's something that would be helpful. So yeah, just sharing all this. All right. Yeah, next point, Thomas, is from you, an announcement, a quick one, I guess.
Yeah, last week we talked about how we could do estimation and how we should track our workflow, how we are more transparent about what issues we work on. So these are two merge requests. One is mentioning the method of estimation that I suggested last week. Please feel free to comment on it or suggest something else if you any improvements are welcome. Same for the workflow. I mentioned the workflow board and what subset of workflow labels we use. Have a look if you have any comments. Like and subscribe.
Love to see a YouTube channel with just Thomas talking about workflows and stuff and processes. That would be nice. Cool. Yeah, thank you for that, Thomas. And you'll see if you go there. I approve both of them because, in my opinion, this makes sense. But I'm keeping them open to see if people do have feedback, so that to incorporate that before we merge this in. Yeah. All right, let's move on to discussion items. So the first one is from Dasha. I'll voice this since she's not here. So she says that she's been noodling over prioritization and made a proposal. So there's a link here to an issue. It's more like a meta issue, right? About like how do we prioritize and what do we prioritize? So she would love some feedback from the team on this, and if it's a plan that we can all get behind. So I left some feedback and some comments there already. My suggestion would be to, typical, kind of start a new thread, a new comment thread there. If it's a topic doesn't have a thread just yet, otherwise just kind of contribute to an existing one. I'm not sure if people have had a chance to read this already before this call, and if so, if they want to share some thoughts already here live that we could discuss. So I'll just pause there to see if that's the case. All right, I'm seeing a bit of horizontal nodding, so probably not. So that's fine. Please make sure to leave feedback in the issue. If you have some, do read through this. It'll be important for how do we want to work as a team. So encourage you all to contribute there. Cool. Okay. So next topic here, I wanted to walk people through the 69 milestone plan. Maybe I'll share my screen for a sec. Which one? Yeah. So this is our milestone issue, sorry, for the upcoming milestone, which starts, I think, next week, technically speaking. So just a little bit on the methodology here. Initially, we created this draft section that contains like all the things that have been requested of us recently. So it was a lot of things, basically. Too many things, really, actually. So ended up kind of narrowing this down. Currently, the top 5 goals we have is implementing DuoChat in JetBrains. So yeah, I think that's probably pretty self-explanatory. One thing I'll mention here is it doesn't say Visual Studio anymore. That was it seems this was decided to be post GA, primarily because this way we kind of freeing up some capacity to work on, so John will be working on JetBrains actually with Ali, Dylan, and Aaron as well. So we kind of adding more people to JetBrains and parallelizing there so that we can reduce the delivery date there as well. So they all met, I think I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before because time zones, but anyway, recently they met and discussed the plan and came up with a solid proposal. So thank you all for that as well. The other topics are the streaming post-MVC stuff that we're doing currently for VS Code, supporting granular controls for AI features, implementing minimum version verification. This is pretty new. I haven't actually really looked too much into this one, if I'll be honest, but I think it's like making sure users know that they need to be on 16.7 at least to get the right sort of experience with AI features. and then telemetry for streaming. Then there are a couple like the other goals that we ended up not prioritizing just yet. And then here, I don't know, I'm kind of experimenting with the format here still, but sort of wanted to call out what everyone's sort of primary focus would be this milestone. So like I said, on JetBrains, we're at 4 folks, and on VS Code 3. Laura, I'm sorry I didn't include you here, obviously, because I don't actually expect you to contribute much in this milestone just yet. Obviously, if you do, then that'll be great, but I didn't want to add you here just yet. Also thinking to put like a capacity thing, but I don't know, I haven't done that yet. So yeah, just wanted to make sure that that was visible and people are aware of that. I think we are missing a couple things, in my opinion. So we have the goals, but we are missing, a clear set of DRIs, I think, for each of those goals, especially in VS Code. I think it's, at least to me, it's not super clear just yet. Like, for example, who is going to take care of the streaming telemetry, or the granular control, or things like that. And I think that will be very helpful to have a concrete mapping. Similarly, I think some of these are epics but don't actually have, or I'm not sure, but like I think it'll be good to make sure we have the clear list of issues that are assigned to that milestone. So there's a bit more work to do that. Dasha is writing here that she wants to do this, but any help would be lovely. So I think it would be good to assign DRIs and then have those folks work directly with Dasha. Yeah, so that's kind of like my idea on this. Yeah, and I think I want to add something about capacity, which I mentioned already. Like there is some PTO coming up for several folks on the team, so I want to make sure to reflect that in here. All right, so TLDR, if in those goals, especially talking to the VS Code folks, if you see things that you particularly already have an affinity for, maybe, or context of, then please nominate yourself as a DRI. Otherwise, I'll make sure to figure out who should do what, basically. And then we can continue to refine the plan this way. Any thoughts on this? Questions, discussion needed, clarifications?
I'm very happy to have milestone planning back. That's all I'll say. It was a crazy rush last month, so it's good to have the planning issue back up so we can be transparent up front.
As someone who benefits from that, thank you.
I wonder, we've got a few issues that were planned for the last milestone but are not mentioned here, namely the planning for VS Code and a language server that we've done about 2 weeks ago. I was wondering whether we are supposed to drop everything after we finished the current issue, since you say that the next milestone starts Monday, or what's the thinking around that?
Yeah, this is also why I agree. I think there most likely are some of these, and that's why that's, for me, kind of related to this topic about the clear list of epics and issues, because these I think I'm thinking of issues that are not tied to a specific high-level goal, but that we still know we need to or want to do. So I'd like to have an overview of that as well. I'd like that to be like very transparent and visible. So yeah, yes, I think they exist, and we need to I guess flag which ones they are. If you can see already, I think, at least for me and Dasha, we need to go still into those epics that are listed in those goals and make sure all these issues are assigned to the right milestone. Again, if you could help us with that, that's great. And if there are some that don't have an epic but should be in a milestone, please also just tag us there, like tag Dasha and myself. Be like, hey, I think we should carry this over, and then we can figure that out. That would be I think the best step forward, probably.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, yeah, that's all. Aaron, you have the next point here.
Cool. So yeah, for myself today, I got looped into a customer investigation, and I've seen that Kai had responded on a thread yesterday, and I linked 2 and 2 together, and it looks like folks that are using Zscaler, which is a proxy, end up facing issues using code suggestions. So one customer is able to use a sort of a workaround, but we're having another customer that's sort of like just having more trouble around it. They're sort of like putting pressure on, saying, "Hey, look, like we're able to use a competitor, no problem." But like with GitLab code suggestions, we're not able to use it. So I'm just going through this sort of network stack and trying to figure out what's happening there. I'm gonna have a merge request for the language server and a merge request coming up for the VS Code extension. We do the proxy stuff inside of VS Code, and we can see normal VS Code extension stuff working, but the language server is failing to use fetch because some of the proxy agent stuff isn't getting passed through. So I got a couple of MRs up for that to see if we can get through. It'd be nice to get stuff reviewed, but I think it's just more debuggability if I can get like folks to review my MRs around how we can get like additional logging, because right now it's not very obvious from the logs. And we've had a few customers where we've had to basically get on customer calls just to figure out what their proxy settings actually were. So I think we definitely need to improve the troubleshooting around that, especially where the language server creates its own agent, which doesn't have all the same options in it. And it looks like Zscaler just doesn't pass through the system proxy. It's like running into TLS certificate issues because that's getting intercepted, which is tough. So, but yeah. So
should we have an issue then to add like more like we had one at some time about better logs. I think that was closed, so we'll probably need another one maybe for. It sounds like you'd want a better way from the logs to tell that what's up with the proxy. Like, are we getting the configuration and all of that stuff? Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. So I'm adding a couple of log lines in with my MR. But
you okay? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anybody reviewing it can just mention other places. But yeah, it might make sense to have a follow-up issue going forward for additional stuff. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, no, okay, makes sense. So the MRs you have are introducing that logging. That's what you're saying. Gotcha.
Thanks, Aaron, for tackling this. Every time I find an issue with the VS Code extension, like it's a software that runs on someone's computer, and it's always works on my machine. It's really, really hard to debug it unless you hop on a call with a customer. So kudos for like finding the calls and migrating the fix to language server. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Fingers crossed it works out for them. I think they're coming. That's a prospect coming to the end of their trial the next week. So I think they're really pushing to get it working for tomorrow for them. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I work tomorrow, so I can help review anything.
I do as well. I'm still around today.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for that, for sure. It's always these things with customers. I think it's good that we can help, help our teams, help our customers, as long as, we'll see how it goes, I guess. If the volume of this kind of stuff, this kind of activity becomes too high, then of course, then it's not sustainable anymore. But thank you for jumping on this one and helping out for sure. Cool. All right. There's nothing else in the written agenda. Is there anything that people wanted to bring up or discuss? No. All right, then I will stop the recording.